What's up, everybody? We are back here at the Phillies weekly recap, and we have had a ton of wins and barely any losses, a ton of home runs, a standing ovation, a no-hitter. I mean, we've pretty much had every damn thing that you could possibly have in a baseball season. And I decided it was just too much for me to talk about myself. So I brought my good buddy from Twitter here, my buddy Joey. So we made it nice and simple for you. We made it simple. We said, look, Joey, you can't forget the names on here. How's it going, man? How you feeling about the Phillies? Like, tell me, like, let's get hype about this.
Man, I mean, how can you not feel good about the Phillies right now? I mean, after that homestand, they took care of business. I was scared. We sometimes play down to our competition, but they stepped up and they won those series just like they should. So we're feeling good right now.
Thank God, because like that one Royals game, and I think it was right after the last time I posted on here, I was like, oh no, 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 please don't do this. It's the Kansas City Royals. But we've been pulling it together, and I feel like yes, Michael Lorenzen has the no-hitter, and we're going to get to that. But the biggest thing that has happened since the last one was the standing O. We had the standing O for Trea Turner, and we literally, I think we like reignited this man. What's up, Derek? How you doing, buddy? Glad to see you here. But we reignited. We set this guy on fire. Like, he's gotten a hit in 7 straight games, I think it is, and now I don't think it's just him. I think it's the whole team just got more relaxed. Like, I feel like everybody saw him struggling, and they were saying like, "Oh man, we got to pick it up for him. We got to be a champion. We got to bring back October baseball in like April." And they were all tight. I don't know. How do you feel? What Tell me, like, run me through what you were thinking when you saw that ovation, because I know you and I have talked a few times, and we're like, Trea Turner needs to get his head out of certain places.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we were on the same page that we know the kind of talent Trea Turner is. We know what he brings to the table. We saw it in the World Baseball Classic. He lit the world on fire for a couple weeks, and then the regular season started and the production stopped. And we were like, where is it, Trey? We know you got it in you. What are you doing right now? But we learned that positive reinforcement is sometimes the medicine that is needed and not the tough love. And Trey responded in a big way. He's batting over 300 since the standing ovation. He's hitting with power. He's bringing in the runs. He's getting clutch hits. I mean, you can't ask for anything more right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's killing it. And I was there last night, and I don't even care if last night going to the game got me sick, because it was amazing. We were down 1-0. He comes up the bat, and like, you could tell, because I've been to a few games since the ovation, and you could tell, like, okay, we're still clapping, we're still excited, but like, you can't give a standing ovation for the rest of the year, so it's kind of calming down. And then this man just hits a missile, and I think I jumped like 3 rows down. I was in the lap of some random stranger. Like, we were excited, we were hyped. It was such It's so great to see that. And then, like, you see, like, Nick Castellanos, like, he's coming out of his slump from it. And Bryce, is hitting the ball really hard. And even JT Realmuto, who's hitting it to the opposite field, which is really big for him, because, like, when he hits it to that opposite field, that's when he's on fire. And if our stars are on fire, there's not a team in this baseball world that could beat us, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel. Maybe I'm just being a little bit too big of a fan, and you could be a little more realistic. But I really do feel like, if we're on fire, we have this. And the only reason why we lost that World Series last year was because we ran out of gas.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the way the team was burning through the playoffs last year, through Game 3 of the World Series, and then the combined no hitter, the offense just, like you said, they ran out of gas. And we saw this lineup coming into this year. The only changes were because of the Rhys Hoskins injury, and then we brought in Trea Turner. So it was Segura out, Turner in. You could only see that as an upgrade.
Yeah.
And with them starting to roll now, I mean, if we get production from 3 out of our top 5 or 6 guys, Trey, Cassie, Harper, Schwarber, if 2 or 3 out of those guys are on any given night, we can win. We can beat anybody. So that's what we need to see, and that's what we're starting to see, and it's working.
Thank God, because baseball for me, all I could think of is the 2007 Colorado Rockies, and it's just about
Oh,
getting hot at the right time. As much as it sucks as a Philly fan to think about them, they got hot at the right time. They made it back to the World Series, and I feel like we could replicate that. But the way to get hot is to have major moments that just turn the tide for the fans, the clubhouse, and for everybody. And I mean, what bigger moment could you possibly have than Michael Lorenzen throwing a no-hitter in Vans? which like we were talking about it a little bit before the show. I didn't know you could wear Vans. I didn't know you could customize them in the cleats. I only knew that they were a song when I was in high school and that skateboard kids wore them. But how did you watch that game? Because I'm going to be completely honest. Unfortunately, I missed that whole game, so I had to watch the replay. So it was still hyper, but not the same for me. So if you watched it, tell me how it felt.
I watched it, and I mean, it was amazing. I mean, it's you couldn't script a better game if you wanted to. Wilson hitting a home run in his first major league at bat. Castellanos ripping 2 home runs for number 200 in his career, and then Lorenzen just continuing to go. Once we got through the seventh inning, if I had to bet money, I probably would have thought Rob was going to take him out because that 100 pitch limit is pretty strict for Rob Thompson. I mean, he did it earlier in the year he took Christopher Sanchez out of a no hitter when he was at 70 pitches. So I didn't think he was going to let Lorenzen go past about 100, but thank God he did because Lorenzen came through and it was one of the most magical games we've had in a while.
Oh yeah, like that was a playoff level type game from people texting me. I had friends texting me like 110 pitches, 113 like pitch by pitch, telling me what was happening. I could hear the stadium because I don't live too far away from it, so like you can hear the vibe going down in there. It was just wild. Like you said, there were so many things. How many times do you get a game where a rookie comes up in Weston Wilson, first at bat, pops one out of the stadium? But hold on, that's not it, because Nicky Cass over here, he hits not 199, but his 200th home run. Then you have Michael Lorenzen out here, like you said, throwing 100, I think it was 124 by the end of it, and getting a no-hitter. And the beautiful thing with this no-hitter, and I forget who was saying it, so I can't give like perfect credit. I'll say it was Jack Fritz, but like, they have 8 days until he pitches again because of the off days coming up. So we could stretch him a little bit longer, especially with that 6-game, like 6-man rotation. I mean, so I just thought it was crazy. It's great. And I believe that like you go and you watch the 2008 Phillies and like you can remember moments that like took us month by month. And this is that moment. This is one of them. This is something that I think turns the tide because this guy came in on his first time being traded to us and he pitched 8 innings. And he comes in the second time and he pitches a no-hitter. Like I don't know. I can't think of another player in history outside of like Doc, obviously dominating when he first came over, but it was just wild. What do you think of the kid though? What do you think of Weston Wilson? Because like I think he's pretty good, minus that play in the outfield last night because I almost like I'm not even joking. His dad was sitting one section over, his whole family sitting one section over in 123, and I just like slowly turned and looked at him because I wanted to be like, "What is your son doing?" Like I was so mad for a moment. But what do you think of the kid?
I mean, I think he started. I mean, you couldn't start out any better than he did with the home run.
Yeah.
I like to give him a chance, let him get some games in. I think he's starting tonight.
I believe he is. I haven't looked at the lineup, but I believe he's in it. Bohm's still in it at first. Turner's batting third because Harper's got the back spasms right now, so that should be fun to watch. I mean, we should win this game. It's the Twins, but you know what do I know? But like at this point, I just have a heart attack every game.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas Keuchel's starting for the Twins. He's only had one start this year because they signed him off the street, and he's old and on his way out. So he's a pitcher that we should light up, just like Patrick Corbin was. But we saw how the game started with him. We tend to let those guys that we should hit around on get a little bit further into games than we should. So we'll see what happens. But I think we should be in for a win tonight if all goes according to plan. But how that goes.
Yeah, let's hope, man, because like we're in a good place. We're bringing out a little bit more of a lead in the wild card, and like the NL East, it isn't far fetched to say that like the Braves, who are playing everybody every single day, could die out, and we could catch them a la the Mets way back when in the 2000s. You know, so it's possible. Let's talk about a couple of the batters though, because this is home run city all of a sudden. This team started this season, and I was trying to warn people without Rhys Hoskins that we were not going to be the home run team, that we were going to hit doubles, that we were going to move runners over, and that's kind of how we were going to do things. And for the most part, that's been correct until lately. And now all we're doing is getting walks and home runs, and now with Rojas in the lineup too, we're getting steals. So we're kind of hitting our stride everywhere. And do you think do you think it matters if we stay a home run team? Because the only 2 losses that we've had since this last podcast during the Miami Marlins series, only the 2 losses, we had 1 home run each. Every other game, we've had multiple home runs. Do you think that's something we can keep up?
With the way we have our lineup with those guys, with something we should be able to keep up. And I mean, 2 home runs a game is something that's going to be almost impossible to do
Yeah.
day after day. But with the pop we have in our lineup, it's something that we can hope to happen, and we will most likely see happen most every day
Yeah.
against certain pitchers, unless you get a guy coming in like Sandy Alcantara shut us down
Yeah.
the other week, and you're going to have games like that where we're going to be upset. But
Yeah.
this lineup is potent, and they're playing up to the way they should, and we're going to see more home runs. They said, I think we were 25th in the league in home runs up to a couple weeks ago, and since then we've been first or second in the league. So hopefully it's a trend that's here to stay.
I will take it because I got to be honest. One of the things that has been bugging me all season, I think you and I talked about this at like Scott Fishbowl and everything, like the base running. I don't know
Oh,
what's going on with the base running this year, but like I've been making notes each game of like little things I just want to talk about. And like I think 4 of the games here, I already just have real big base running little league. And I just don't understand what's happening there. Hopefully that changes around. But if we're just hitting home runs, then we don't have to worry about it. But talking about base running, I want to bring it to my guy because I don't know if you saw me fighting with the one dude, but I love Johan Rojas.
mhm.
And I'm obsessed with Johan Rojas. I love really speedy outfielders that could steal like 30, 40 bags a year. It's just who I am. It's always going to be that way. How do you feel about the kid? Do you think like because Marsh is out with the injury, let's say Marsh comes back in time, playoffs, all that stuff. Do you think it should be Marsh in left, Rojas in center? Do you think we should switch that around? What's your ideal outfield?
Ideally, I would say so. Harper's at first base. You got Schwarber DHing. That's ideal. That way we can get Martian left, Rojas in right. Now, on days that we need to get Schwarber in left, we can platoon Rojas and Marsh. So one will start, the other one might come in depending on the situation with the bullpen coming in. Get that righty lefty going that Thompson loves. So but ideally, I would agree with you. I would like Martian left and Rojas in center. I mean, he's made so many electrifying plays in center field already. He's had one blunder that you look at and you're like, oh, everyone should make this play. But other than that,
Yeah.
he's been good, if not great. So you couldn't ask for much more.
And that word electrifying is probably the best way to put it because he literally wears an armband that says electrifying. Like it's or electric, one or the other. Either way,
Mm-hmm.
the dude just makes plays in the field. He steals bases. The guy hit the ball down the line, tripped, and still beat it to first. Like it's just that's the type of energy you need. And this whole season has been fueled by the daycare. And if you add yet another young guy, another level of energy from like the youth, I just think that's amazing. Now, there's one issue of an addition that we have, and I'm going to let you kind of start it and take the floor with it because we were talking about it a little bit. But how do you feel about the addition with Castro? What are your thoughts?
So when I first saw the trade, I saw we traded Bailey Falter for Castro, and I thought, all right, so we got rid of a AAA guy and we brought in a AAA guy. That's what I saw Castro as. I figured he would just go to the Pigs and finish out the year with them, maybe come up late in the year once the rosters expand. But they brought him right up
Yeah.
to Philly, and he's been playing almost every other day, and he has not been producing. So it's basically been Castro for Harrison. We're looking at the same thing right now. So I don't expect much out of him, but if he's gonna play, I would like him to give us a little more than he is.
Yeah, and I know he's letting you down because you tweeted last night that you like miss Josh Harrison. Like
Yeah, he
and
makes me
you
almost miss Josh
yeah.
Harrison.
And I know, like, as you typed that, you were like, oh my God, I hate myself right now. Like,
I can't
but
believe I'm saying this.
yeah, but like, I'm not going to pretend like I know a lot about the guy, but I was reading up, obviously, like you do when a trade happens. And it's like, okay, this dude can hit lefties. Okay, like he can only hit one side of the plate, basically, depending on who the pitcher is. But like, he could bring some type of pop. I haven't seen it yet and I don't really understand it. Like to me, I would rather like, and I know you probably can't do this. I'm sure there's money and contracts and everything else that's all got to be involved in this. But I'd rather just have Gene Segura back. Out of the two of
Mm-hmm.
them, I'd rather bring
Amen.
that energy 100% back into our clubhouse. if Castro's not going to do anything. Because like you said, if he's more of like a AAA guy, send him to AAA. Go get a veteran. Go get somebody part of that World Series run. Get somebody that the clubhouse likes, so you know he's not going to destroy like the environment for you. But I haven't seen it yet. Let's hope he proves us wrong when he does have to play. But honestly, let's just hope that he doesn't have to play
Yeah.
much. That's kind of my whole thought. My biggest thing I want to talk about though, because I think this change has been the best change, and I feel like you and I have talked about putting somebody in the 2 hole for a long time, whether it be Stott or whether it be Bohm, and they've put Bohm there, and I just feel like the offense flows better this way. Like I feel like we have people that get on base before our big bats of Nicky C and Bryce Harper and whoever else is behind them at that point, and the guy just hits. That's all he does, and I get it. He's 6'5". We're expecting him to hit it out of the park all the time, but maybe he's just not built into that quote unquote man body yet. Maybe he's not fully developed, but he obviously has some pop. But what he does is he just sprays that ball everywhere, left field, right field, center field. He just gets hits. And at this point in the game, with the bases being bigger and you can't make the shifts and all that stuff, just get people on the base and let some small ball happen until those home runs come. Because, like you said, you can't hit them every night. You can't hit 2, 3 every night. You can't rely on it. You can't become the New York Yankees. Look what happens when you rely on it that heavily. How do you feel? Do you like Bowman in the 2 hole? Would you want to move him around? How are you feeling about that?
Oh, I love Boom in the 2 hole. We got to keep. I'd keep him there unless he falls completely off kilter here. Keep him there as long as he goes. He's a 2 out hit machine, and he's a runners in scoring position hit machine, which is
Yep.
exactly what we need out of that spot. We got the bottom of the order. They've been coming through. Guys like Marsh,
Yeah.
guys like Rojas. They get on base. They get to second base, and then Boom drives them in. It's incredible, and it's the perfect solution to the 2 hole that we've been waiting for.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like you said, if he slips, if he's having some issues, that's what Bryson Stott's for. You could just literally flip flop them, and I think you would be fine. Let me ask you a question. I know I didn't put it on like the sheet, but I'm sure you're fine with it. Bryson Stott taking the days off. I started in the field of like never sit this guy. This guy's way too good. He gets hits way too much. He's batting 300. But then you go back and you look at the World Series, and he had 0
Mhm.
hits in the World Series, and you wonder if he gassed out at that point or if like what happened. But what do you feel? Do you get upset? Like, do you pull the Joe Pepe and get upset at it, or are you like a reasonable fan?
I get upset. I get upset when I hear that it's when I see a lefty pitcher coming up against us and then Stott's out of the lineup automatically.
Yeah.
Rob has been saying that it's because of he hit fatigue last year like some of the other guys in the World Series, and that's so I can kind of get on board with that. We want to keep him fresh because the way he's been producing this year, he's one of our over 300 hitters right now. We want him to be able to be that guy in the playoffs. So I understand that. Give him a night or two off, but don't just do it because there's a left-hander on the mound going against us. He can hit lefties too, and he
Yeah.
shouldn't have this year.
Yeah. I feel like you could be a little more strategic outside of like, oh, it's a lefty. Let's take him out of the lineup. I fully agree with that. And maybe Rob should call me before I go to the game because I love Bryson Stott's walk-up song. And if you take it from me, I get
Mm-hmm.
very, very upset as a fan because I just want to sing it 3 or 4 times a night. It's just something I need. It makes me feel like I'm at the game a little bit. But like I said, I went to the game last night and I had to watch Aaron Nola. And we know he's been struggling all season. And last night felt like the longest game ever. I'm not even going to lie. Until we started hitting those home runs, I felt like the pitch clock had disappeared and we were back in one of those old school Yankees Red Sox 9-hour games because he was walking people. He was having command issues and he's been struggling all season long. And one of the things about the run last year that was so magical was we had a 1-2 and you couldn't defend yourself against our 1-2. There was nothing you could really do. I don't think he would be the 2 this year. It could move to Walker. It could move to anybody. It could be Lorenzen if he keeps it up. What game 2 of any of the series in the playoffs? Are you handing the ball to Nola? Are you handing the ball to somebody else? How do you feel about Nola this year? Are you worried? Are you like concerned? Let us know.
I'm absolutely worried. That's what I've been thinking about a lot lately is what we're gonna do once we get to those playoff scenarios where we got to come up with a guy who's going to pitch game 2, game 3. I'm almost even scared to have him start in a game 3 scenario just because the way he will have very good location, but he'll miss 1 or 2 pitches per game. Probably more than that, honestly,
Yeah.
this year. But when he misses, the other team cranks them out of the
Every
park.
time.
He doesn't have the velocity to be able to afford to miss his spots,
Yeah.
and he gets banged around when he does that. So right now, I would almost go Wheeler 1, of course,
Okay.
Lorenzen 2, and
Like
then
it.
Suarez or Nola at 3, depending on the situation. Maybe if you're facing a lot of lefties, go with the Suarez. I'm not sure if we would go this way, but you could even bring Nola in for a couple innings in relief. I don't know what you
Yeah,
think about that.
if that, yeah, I'd be real shocked if we went that far down the route because
Yeah.
that'd be like almost like we completely gave up on them type thing. So I hope not because I don't want to be at that level, you know.
Hmm.
But like you said, I would go Wheels, and then I would probably go Lorenzen if he keeps this up. And
Hmm.
then for me, it's tough. Like you said, if it's lefties, maybe it's Suarez. If it's righties, maybe I go Walker. We tend to just win with Walker. Yes, he puts people on the base, but he gets out of the jams pretty damn well, and I like that about him. We have a problem. It's almost like in football when they say, "Oh, we have too many quarterbacks," and it's but it's kind of a good problem, and it is and it isn't. It's nice to have some
Hmm.
talent, but it's not good to just have dominant players going. So hopefully Nola figures something out. Listen, if we have to give another standing ovation, like I'll do it. Just tell the people that have way more power than me to go out there, start a hashtag. I will 1000% give a standing ovation to Aaron Nola because in the first inning last night, he hit one. And if it didn't hit the top of the fence, it was out. It was another home run. And if I could bet against Nola giving a home run every single night, I'd be rich. Every
Yep.
game, that's all you got to do is just say Nola gives up a home run, minus 150, and I'll just make a little extra cash every time he pitches.
I mean, it's the
But
least they could do for us
yeah,
having to watch that every game. So
exactly. If they're not
give us a little beer money for
Exactly, and if you're not gonna let me win the 50-50, you can at least give me some
that.
Aaron Nola home run money. They don't even let me get a digit, but I digress. Nobody needs to hear me talk about the 50-50. We're gonna end the show here with who your Phillies MVP is this year because everybody knows mine. I actually think it's Bryson Stott this season. I talk about him way too much, so I think everybody knows mine. Nobody wants to hear me talk anymore about it. Who would you say if you had to put a Phillies MVP today? Who would the player be?
So I came into tonight when you posed me that question. I was all ready to say Alec Boehm as my MVP for the Phillies this year, just the way he's been producing. With 2 outs with runners in scoring position, like we touched on earlier. But I wanted to change my answer to Nick Castellanos,
All
just
right.
because the way he started out this year, he was at or a little above 300 at the All Star break. He was our All Star representative. And he really carried us through a rough first couple months of the season. He was on when the rest of the stars were not. And if he wasn't, we might have lost some more games than we did win. And we might be in actually fighting for a wild card spot at this point instead of having a 3 or 4 game lead. And then when he came out of his rough patch in the second half of this year and now he's taken off, now we're winning more games. There's almost a correlation between us winning and the way Nick Castellanos has been playing this year. So right now, I would say Nick Castellanos is my team MVP right now.
That's actually a really, really good answer. And if for some reason, because we follow each other on Twitter, his mom sees this, we love your son and we love your grandson because Liam's awesome. Liam's great. He was running
He is
all
the
up and down
man.
he's like the second mascot for us. It's fantastic. But look, I'm not gonna hold you much longer because we got the game in a few minutes. I know you want to watch it. I want to watch it. I'm not feeling great today. I want to lay down, watch the Phillies crush the Twins. But I just want to thank you, man, for coming on, for being the first guest on this, for dealing with me doing live for the very first time. I just really appreciate you coming on and just enjoying yourself and talking about our team, man.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast, and I'll always be happy to jump on anytime you need a guest. So keep
Oh,
me in
trust
mind,
me.
sir.
Trust me. You're going to be coming back, especially in the playoffs when I feel like I'm going to be doing this like after every single game. So we're definitely going to have a lot more time talking together. But I want to thank everybody who did watch it live. Anybody watching it afterwards, just please like, comment, subscribe, share this thing. Let's get a Phillies community going because I want to have more people on here. I want to have 10 screens up here. I want us all talking at once. And let's go Phillies. Ring that bell.
Let's go Phils.